My dear members of the yoga family, it is happy to know that International Yoga Day is being celebrated all over the world in a grand manner with full of enthusiasm and commitment. Perhaps this yoga may be the only field which has been accepted by people from all corners of the world in a very short period, that too. So the growth and popularity of yoga is increasing every day and may become the sixth element after earth, water, fire, air, and ether. According to the popular saying of Sanatana Dharma, one should have yoga to practice yoga. That means one should be lucky to practice yoga. Today, the earth is having millions of such lucky people who are practicing yoga. It is true that the contribution of the Oriental culture is vast and powerful. Its influence is deep and long lasting. Okay, the benefits of Oriental culture is beyond imagination. Yoga being an Oriental practice, it is appeal to all people irrespective of the country and background. The Occidental people are busy enjoying the material treasures of yoga. Anything appeals to the eyes, goes deep into the heart, and catches the mind quickly. This is true in the case of yoga. There are 8 accessories of yoga, and asana is one accessory. In asana, the practitioner of yoga uses the body and performs various types of movements which are structural and artistic. These movements grab the attention of everyone and attract them to get into yoga. Whatever may be the movements of the body and limbs, whatever may be the style of the practice of yoga, the practitioner proudly says that they are doing yoga. The physical aspect of practice of yoga has created a number of opportunities to the people. It has become a billion-dollar business today. The area and scope of yoga has been widened. People have started using the word yoga to their techniques and business, whether the technique or business is related to yoga or not. Thus, the commercialization of yoga has helped the people to have an easy access to yoga. Today, you can find a yoga teacher near your house. You can find a yoga school in your area, a yoga association in your region, and a yoga alliance in your country. There is an army of yoga celebrities, yoga gurus, yogacharyas exhibiting their pride and ego. Each of them competes with others, claiming that his or her group is superior over to others. Besides boasting their teachings and techniques are the best. Even their followers think that their teacher is best and they are promoting it. Even the marketing, it has risen in a huge way, okay, helping the yoga to develop. But unfortunately, there is the sheepish attitude is still strong in many people. This is the order of the day also. People think that their teacher is great and because of the publicity and marketing. The sheep herd is present. Teacher has a huge number of students because of the marketing and publicity. There is another type of activities that is organizing seminars, conferences, workshops, retreats, etc. All these are contributing to the activities of yoga. But in the majority of these activities, there are too many speakers who are invited to present something different in the name of yoga. Before participating in any of these activities, one should remember that talk gives a little information and brings a lot of confusion. Words give a little guidance but create a lot of doubt. People travel to various cities in different parts of the world where there will be a famous yoga teacher or a famous yoga center, thinking that they may get the best yoga teacher and reputed yoga institution to enhance their knowledge of yoga and or have a good training to practice. Unfortunately, though there are several yoga teachers, several yoga schools, and several yoga courses and activities, not many of them are focusing on the basic practice of yoga. Perhaps many are not aware of the original yoga and its practice. Now it is time to know and understand yoga as we are coming across the names, styles, and practices of yoga. This understanding does not come through the catchy names and quotes about yoga that are seen in public and marketing of the classes. Wellness does not specifically define the nature of well-being and its practice. Mindfulness does not mind hiding the truth. Yoga is one of the 6 darshanas of Sanatana Dharma. A darshana is not a philosophy, but it is a vision. This yoga, which is a vision of our great saints, is a practice to help the people to overcome their sufferings. Everyone is familiar with pain and suffering. No one knows how this pain appears, but definitely suffers from the pain. Yoga is a discipline that reveals various techniques to solve the problems of the pain. This discipline of yoga has 2 important constituents that help to avoid the pain. One is vairagya, the dispassion, and another is atmajnana, the self-knowledge. The human body has 3 components. They are body, mind, and senses. Each of these components functions in its own way. When there is a function of the body, there is a movement of the body or any of its limbs. The mental state changes at that time and the change may go beyond the control. The yogi may lose the balance of the body and discipline when the change goes beyond the control, and through the practice of asana, this discipline of the body can be developed. In the same way, when there is a function of the mind, there is a thought, and this thought may change the mental state. The mind may accumulate several thoughts. The yogi may lose the balance of the mind and its discipline. Through the practice of pranayama, this discipline of the mind is developed. When there is a function of the senses, there is a feeling which may change the mental state, forcing the mind to jump from one object to another. The function of the senses brings awareness. The yogi may lose the balance of the senses and their discipline. Through practice of pratyahara, the discipline of the senses is developed. People see the body but cannot see the mind or senses. What you see most frequently, you like it quickly and try to engage in that side or the object that is seen. So the eyes, the organ of perception, is very powerful and catches the object immediately. The majority of the people see the movements of the body and they like the body-oriented activity. So they get into the practice of asana. There are people who want to keep a healthy mind. Since the mind and its function depend upon the breathing, these people, they practice pranayama. There are people who want to be aware of their influences of the senses. So these people, they practice pratyahara. Asana, pratyahara, pranayama, and pratyahara are the accessories of yoga. They are most useful limbs of yoga because they control and discipline body, mind, and senses. According to Maharshi Patanjali, the author of the Yoga Sutras, yoga is a practice to control the thought waves of chitta, the conscious mind. When the thoughts are controlled, the state of samadhi is attained. This state of samadhi is the goal of yoga and is also known as the evenness of the mind. It is more sensible if the courses of yoga are promoted as the practice of evenness of the mind. This term evenness includes wellness and mindfulness also. The thoughts are due to the contact of senses with their object. These objects are external, and when the senses come into their contact, the mind becomes active and thought in the mind increases. When there are several thoughts in the mind, the body becomes restless. By the influence of the external object, the body, mind, and senses becomes active, restless, and indisciplined. There's an object. This object is comprehended without any distinction. When you see that object, you comprehend it without any distinction. For example, there's a piece of chocolate in front of you. You comprehend this as a chocolate without any changes in the mind. When you give a few seconds break, gap, your senses start disturbing your mind to think of eating the chocolate. You start eating the chocolate and indulge in eating more chocolate. Your mind becomes active and disciplined. So now you want to bring back the balance of your mental state. For this, either you have to stop eating the chocolate or reject the chocolate, the thought of the chocolate. To stop eating the chocolate means you have to control the thoughts of eating chocolate or restraining the thoughts of chocolate. And this controlling or restraining the thought is yoga. Practice of yoga has several ways. This is one of the important ways. Now you have to live in this society where your mind is flooded with crazy thoughts of the world. Objects are many in the world, and there are several objects in the world. Each of these objects bring thoughts of its own nature to the mind. Some of these thoughts bring excitement, happiness. Some of them bring anxiety and depression. Some of them bring sorrow and distress. These different thoughts bury your mental energy, making your mind weak. When the mind is weak, everything is weak. No one can escape from these types of experience because there will be thoughts always in the mind. Therefore, one should control over the thoughts of the mind to keep the mind strong. This practice of controlling the thoughts of the mind is yoga. There are several types of activities in your life, and each of these activities bring thoughts related to that activity. When there are several types of activity which are different in nature, there will be different types of thoughts in your mind. So only one technique cannot control all these thoughts. We have to apply different types of techniques to control different types of thought. So this is the reason why we are having various parts of yoga. Okay. These different parts of yoga have the same goal, that is to reach the absolute state. There is no distraction and the mind is stable in the absolute state. Through the practice of achieving the state of evenness of the mind is focused on its goal, that is the goal of reaching absolute. This practice is higher in level because the mind is trained to focus on the higher values and develop the finer qualities. During the practice, the mind is not disturbed by the object because the mind has discarded all those disturbing objects. Your mind is a complex system where thoughts appear continuously. There are thoughts of your ethics, thoughts of your observances, thoughts of your physical body, and thoughts of your senses. All these thoughts are different in nature and they make the mind active. Certain thoughts think of your values. Certain thoughts think of keeping the mind clean and the body clean. Certain thoughts worry about your physical body. Certain thoughts are busy to force you indulge, etc. Because of the difference in the nature of the thoughts, it is difficult to reduce and control those thoughts at once. So you have to select one type of disturbance and practice to control that disturbance. You are having a bag filled with a number of items and the bag is heavy. You feel uncomfortable to carry that bag. Then what are you going to do? You start removing one item and try to carry. It is still heavy. Then you remove one more item, feel you are still heavy. Like that, you go on removing the item one after another till the bag becomes light for you to carry. In the same way, you try to reduce the thoughts of one particular type of thought of an object by practicing the technique related to that object. When the mind is full of thought, you observe the mind which has become active and restless. When you control that particular type of thought of the object, you feel the mind relaxed to a certain level. Your practice goes on controlling the thoughts till you reach the state of samadhi. Thus, in the practice of yoga, by using the accessories of yoga, the yogi reduces and controls the thoughts that arise from various causes. For example, the yogi practices yama, where he restrains the thoughts of violence by practicing ahimsa, restrains the thought of lying by practicing satya. He does not steal because belonging to others by practicing asteya. He controls the desire by practicing brahmacharya. He does not accept anything from others that bring obligation to him by practicing aparigraha. So, ahimsa controls violent thoughts, brahmacharya controls desires. The techniques of controlling violence is different from the technique of controlling brahmacharya. Okay, so both require different techniques. So in this way, yama controls certain thoughts, niyama controls certain thoughts. The goal of yoga is to reach samadhi. Samadhi is a mental state. Any type of mental state changes or get distracted by every shake and jerk, especially of the body. So the body should be controlled to make it steady and firm. For this, the third accessory of yoga, that is asana, is practice. To reach the steady state of asana, there should be no pain and no other problems in the body. This body pain or discomfort may be in a particular region of the body or in a joint or in a muscle, also responsible for discomfort. So you are practicing asana, which may remove the pain and discomfort of the region. The point to be noticed here is to reach the final position of asana, you are moving the limbs of the body. When you reach the final position of asana, you are sitting down steady in that asana. So this asana made popular all over the world in a short period of time. This was so fast and became attractive due to the body movement. Asana in the form of body movement appealed maximum to those who were not able to sit on the floor with crossed legs. In order to help them, yoga teaches using certain items to help them sit on the floor, to stand inverted, and to turn and twist the body, and so on. This led to the meaning and understanding of yoga to the physical level, and the practice of yoga is reduced to body-oriented activities. To popular asana, certain enthusiastic made it a competitive activity, giving a name very, very inappropriate to this yoga activity. Those who could not do asana continued the practice of pranayama. Okay, those who could not sit down for a longer period, yes, they started practicing asana, a small percentage of the yoga practitioners. Then they realized the benefit of pranayama, continued the practice. Some people, they went to practice meditation. Important thing you have to understand now is yoga is a spiritual practice. This spiritual practice takes the practitioner from a lower level to a higher level. Yoga practice burns the beastly nature and the qualities, refining the body, mind, and senses, and taking the practitioner to a divine state, which is a higher state. Unfortunately, there are crazy people all over the field. So also we have some crazy people in yoga field also. Those who are after gratification of the carnal desire began to promote yoga, certain activities, not yoga, certain activities in the name of yoga, adding word suffix yoga to their activities and started being beer yoga, couple yoga, this yoga, that yoga. This is so disgusting. Okay, they have forgotten that yoga is an internal practice to develop the finer qualities of one's own personality. The yogi practices yoga for his liberation and enlightenment. He doesn't practice yoga for gratifying his carnal desire to get caught in bondage and ignorance. With the intention of promoting yoga as a spiritual practice that enlightens the practitioner, International Yoga Day should be celebrated. This celebration should highlight the spirit of yoga, of the union of the individual self with the Supreme Self. The spirit of yoga does not have obstacles of color, region, and religion. The color you find in the yoga practice is the color of brightness of the soul and the happiness of the heart. The religion you may find in yoga is the religion of faith and humanity. The region you may see in yoga is the region of the divine, pure consciousness, the absolute. So with these words, I conclude the message of the great seer of Sanatana Dharma. Let all be happy. Let all be free from diseases and be healthy. Let everybody see the good, fortune, and prosperity. Let no one become the victims of sorrow and suffering. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Sarve santu niramaya. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.